Friends of Oak Hills, this is Pastor Dale with our weekly video Touchpoint. Today is Thursday, November 6, 2025. I want to start by apologizing that I did not get the video Touchpoint up and out 2 weeks ago. Sometimes my schedule is just too full and I don't have the chance to sit down and record the video to post on YouTube. So glad to be here though this week and return to our reflections on the Psalms. This is part 9 of this series. I find it interesting that in the 7 deadly sins, there are no sins regarding communication, like lying. As the Roman Catholic Church has identified them, the list includes pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth. Now let's compare that list with what we find in Proverbs 6, verses 16 through 19, which reads, "There are 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are an abomination to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that make haste to run to evil, a false witness that breathes out lies, and one who sows discord among brothers." Of the 7 things that the Lord hates, 2 of them are related to speech: a lying tongue and a false witness. If the Lord hates crooked speech this much, you might think that it would make the list of 7 deadly sins. In fact, there are more than 80 proverbs in the book of Proverbs that directly address matters of speech. This is a significant issue for wise living in covenant relation with God. The heart of the matter comes out in Proverbs 10, verse 11, which reads, "The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence." Once again, we have the contrast between the righteous and the wicked, the path of the wise and the path of the fool. The mouth, as the vehicle for speech, is a fountain, is seen as a fountain. The mouth of the righteous brings forth life. The mouth of the wicked brings forth death. Side note, concealing violence, which what the verse says, only leads to death and decay and destruction of others. Just think of the power of our words, life or death. The power of words springs from the reality that we are created in the image of God. God created everything in the heavens and the earth out of nothing by speaking them into existence. Let there be light. All the way through, let us make man in our own image. Highlight the creative power of God's word. And being created in his image, our words are imbued with creative power. We cannot create something out of nothing, but our words can either build up or tear down. So the heart of the Proverbs related to speech is that the way of wisdom cultivates life-giving speech, while the way of the fool fosters harmful speech. Jesus said in Matthew 12:34, "Out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks." Therefore, once again, this practical matter of speech returns to the heart. The Proverbs on speech are targeted at the heart in order to massage the biblical wisdom of living in faithful covenant with God, massage that truth into one's heart. This alone will transform one's speech. Let me highlight a few of the Proverbs that address our speech. Chapter 15, verse 1 says, "A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." Apply this to someone who does not do what we want, either a spouse or a child or a co-worker or a neighbor. A soft answer springs from a heart that values the other person and desires to cultivate a healthy relationship with him or her. A harsh word springs from a heart that values only the self and what I want. It communicates that your way is more important to you than the other person. Chapter 16, verse 24 reads, "Gracious words are like a honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the body." This proverb emphasizes the life-giving nature of our words. Our words can be sweetness to the soul and health to the body for all those we interact with on a regular basis. Chapter 17, verse 28 says, "Even a fool who keeps silent is considered wise. When he closes his lips, he is deemed intelligent." This is a reminder to be slow to speak, James 1:19. The opposite is found in chapter 10, verse 19 of the Proverbs. When words are many, transgression is not lacking. It is good to be selective in our speech, focusing on gracious words. Chapter 26, 18 and 19 read, "Like a madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, 'I am only joking.'" This is one of my favorites. In one sense, it addresses sarcasm that is hurtful to others. Even in joking matters, we should be careful to consider how our neighbor receives our words. And last, 27 verse 2 reads, "Let another praise you, and not your own mouth, a stranger, and not your own lips." This lands hard in a social media saturated culture. We are trained to self-promote, to make a name for ourselves. But our words should not be used for self-praise, but for the building up of others. As we review some of these proverbs on speech, we see another pattern. Wise speech, God-honoring speech, builds up others. Foolish speech and self-centered service often tears others down. May we consider others more significant than ourselves in our speech. May our mouths be a fountain of life. A few things to highlight this week at Oak Hills. First of all, our missionaries of the month are the Granberries. Chris and Mary Granberry started Sacred Road Ministries in the Pacific Northwest, a ministry outreach to Native Americans on the reservations. And they are specifically in Washington on the White Swan Reservation. Our church has been supporting them for over 20 years now, and we will continue to pray for their ministry and the growth of their ministry. Last couple years, we've been praying specifically for the Granberry's daughter who's been battling cancer. And so far, in this year, we've been hearing good reports that she's been in remission. There's going to be another follow-up scan here this fall. We're just praying for another clear scan that she continues to be cancer-free at this time. And then connected to that, the Granberries and our prayers for them, is our Christmas gift drive. We are collecting shoebox gifts for children on the reservation, and these will specifically go to the Warm Springs Reservation, where Tomo Ito and Evan and Holly Shaw serve with Sacred Road. But it's under the umbrella of Sacred Road that Chris and Mary oversee and direct. But these shoebox gifts touch the lives of kids on the reservation and bring the hope of Christmas and the joy of the Christmas story into their lives, because the Sacred Road team will have a Christmas party and share the good news of Christ and give these gifts. And so if you haven't seen the information yet, check it out and prepare a shoebox. You have still another 2 Sundays by November 23rd to bring in a shoebox and participate in that Christmas outreach. In just 2 weekends now, we are hosting Ted Powers here at Oak Hills, November 14, 15, and 16. He is coming to lecture and teach on spiritual conversations, equipping us for the work of evangelism, sharing the good news of Christ with others in our lives. I'm looking forward to this weekend. It's for everyone in the church. We would love for you to come and be a part of it. Friday night, Saturday morning, Sunday morning. It's going to be a rich time with Ted Powers. Then looking ahead, in just 2 weeks, on November 19th, Wednesday, November 19th, we're going to hold our annual, and this is our second annual now, Thanksgiving dinner and hymn sing. This is an opportunity for our church family to gather for a rich, delicious meal, and then give praise to God, and not only in singing hymns, but also in public testimonies of giving praise to God for his faithfulness and kindness to us in this last year. Hope you plan to be a part of that. It's a Wednesday evening, November 19th. We have several men in the church who are smoking meat. It's going to be a delicious meal. We're going to ask that you help fill out the meal with a side dish or a dessert. The details will be in the Touchpoint and bulletin. You could be a part of that. Aiming to start about 6 o'clock for dinner. So it's after work, and hopefully you could come and join us and be a part of that evening. And last but not least, just want to remind you, I always enjoy Sunday mornings with Oak Hills. Missed this last week, but looking forward to being back with you this Sunday. And in our Sunday school hour, we just have 3 more weeks of Sunday school before our Christmas break. We're starting Christmas break early before Thanksgiving this year. And so there's 3 more weeks for our adult Christian education class on apologetics. It's based on the book, Every Believer Confident. I'll be teaching these last remaining 3 weeks and just looking for some practical tools and helps for us to engage in apologetic conversations. It goes hand in hand with the Spiritual Conversations seminar that Ted Powers is going to be leading, but I'd love for you to be a part of that. So, well, thank you for joining me today for our Touch Point. Look forward to being with you soon. God bless.